New footage involving Shedeur Sanders and Falcons coach Jeff Ulbrich is blowing up online after tensions surrounding the viral draft prank refused to die down. And with fans now dissecting every interaction between the two sides, many people believe there's a lot more frustration behind the scenes than anyone expected. It was day 2 of the 2025 NFL Draft. Shedeur Sanders received a phone call during arguably the most agonizing portion of his surprising slide down draft boards, from a potential top 5 pick to an eventual 5th round selection by the Cleveland Browns. The young quarterback, son of Pro Football Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, was sitting at his family's draft party in Texas. Cameras were rolling. Friends and family surrounded him. Spirits were low, tension was high, and every phone call mattered. The moment was captured on video and later posted online by Well Off Media, a production company owned by Shedeur's brother Deion Sanders Jr. In the footage, a caller posed as Saints general manager Mickey Loomis and told Sanders, "We're going to take you with our next pick right here." The room erupted. Smiles broke across faces. This was the moment the family had been waiting for. Then the caller changed his tone. "But you're going to have to wait a little longer, man. Sorry about that," the caller said and hung up. A confused Sanders could only muster, "What does that mean?" Sanders turned to the people around him. He looked at the phone. He then said on camera, "I don't know what that was. Nobody got this number though. Nobody. This is a private number." That last detail was critical. The number Sanders was using was not his everyday cell phone. Only NFL personnel were supposed to have access to the private number used just for the draft. So whoever called didn't just know Shedeur Sanders, they had access to confidential league data. The prank call drew national attention when a video of the callers, 2 young men sitting on a couch, was posted on social media and went viral. One of those men was quickly identified by internet users. The man in the light gray sweatshirt seen sitting on the couch in the video was quickly identified as Jax Ulbrich, the 21-year-old son of Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich. The internet had its culprit, and the story was only getting started. There had been speculation Sanders could be selected as high as number 3 to the New York Giants, and he was pegged by many draft experts as a first-round talent. Instead, Sanders slid all the way to the 5th round, where he was selected 144th overall by the Browns. Sanders' fall in the draft drew widespread attention, including from President Donald Trump, who called owners stupid for not taking him earlier. So this was not just a run-of-the-mill prospect waiting on a phone call. This was one of the biggest stories in the entire draft. And in the middle of all that chaos, someone decided it would be funny to rub salt in the wound. So how did a 21-year-old college student get his hands on the private draft phone number of one of the most talked about prospects in America? The answer was uncomfortably simple. According to the Falcons statement, Jax Ulbrich, a sophomore running back at Berry College in Mount Berry, Georgia, unintentionally came across the draft contact phone number for Shedeur Sanders off an open iPad while visiting his parents' home and wrote the number down to later conduct a prank call. That's it. An open iPad sitting in the family home. With confidential NFL draft data on the screen, Jax saw the number, wrote it down, and later that Friday night, he sat with an unidentified friend and placed the call. Jax Ulbrich didn't actually make the phone call himself, during which the caller impersonated New Orleans Saints general manager Mickey Loomis and told Sanders the Saints were going to draft him later Friday night on day 2. But he was present in the video and evidently facilitated the number. Though Jax Ulbrich provided the number, he was sitting beside an unidentified friend who actually made the call to Sanders. But the orchestration of the entire scheme rested squarely on Jax's shoulders. He had the access, he had the intel, and he set the wheels in motion. Jeff Ulbrich was unaware of the situation and only learned about it after it happened, according to the team. That part is important. The Falcons' defensive coordinator did not know his son had accessed his iPad, let alone that a prank call had been placed using the information. But ignorance wouldn't shield him or the organization from the consequences. The revelation of Jax's identity ignited a firestorm of criticism. The video was widely criticized as a cruel and tasteless attempt at a joke, at the expense of someone who was clearly in a disappointing situation. Regardless of Sanders' polarizing public image, the general consensus from the audience's reaction was that he didn't deserve to be treated that way. As the video picked up traction, people began to ask, how did a group of 20-somethings in college even get a hold of Sanders' phone number in the first place? The narrative shifted from a prank gone wrong to a legitimate breach of NFL protocol. Jeff Ulbrich was in his first year as the Falcons' defensive coordinator. Ulbrich was 3-9 as interim coach of the New York Jets last season, before being hired to return to Atlanta, where he previously worked as an assistant. He was supposed to be the man building one of the most promising defensive units in the NFC South, Jeff Ulbrich had celebrated the Falcons' emphasis on defense in the NFL draft. The Falcons selected two edge rushers, Georgia's Jalon Walker and Tennessee's James Pierce Jr., in the first round. Their first 4 draft picks were defensive players. Instead of basking in the glow of a franchise-altering draft weekend, Ulbrich was suddenly fielding questions about his son, his iPad, and his failure to protect league information. The contrast between the professional high and the personal low was staggering. Within hours of the internet identifying Jax Ulbrich, the machinery of damage control kicked into gear. The Falcons issued a statement. Jax posted an apology on Instagram, and the NFL launched a formal investigation. Shedeur, "What I did was completely inexcusable, embarrassing, and shameful," Jax Ulbrich wrote. "I'm so sorry I took away from your moment. It was selfish and childish." He continued, acknowledging the gravity of what he had disrupted. This wasn't just a phone call. This was a once-in-a-lifetime event for a young man and his family, a night they'd been working toward for years, and Jax, from the comfort of a couch with a friend, had turned it into a punchline. The Falcons stated that they do not condone this behavior and send our sincere apologies to Shedeur Sanders and his family. Then came the NFL's hammer. On April 30th, 2025, the league handed down its punishment. The NFL fined Atlanta $250,000 and defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich $100,000 for failing to prevent the disclosure of confidential information distributed to the club in advance of the 2025 NFL Draft. The language was deliberate. The league did not fine them for the prank itself. The fine for disclosure of confidential information is a reminder that the main legal issue from the prank call was the data privacy and employment interests in Sanders' phone number. In the NFL's eyes, draft prospects' personal information is sacred, closer to trade secrets than casual contact details. Jeff Ulbrich was responsible for allowing an unauthorized person, whether it's his son or anyone without Falcons authorization, to access his open iPad. Jeff Ulbrich faced the cameras on a Wednesday afternoon, dressed in Falcons gear, and delivered one of the more emotionally charged press conferences of the offseason. "First of all, I'd like to publicly apologize to Shedeur and the Sanders family for what occurred. Second of all, I want to publicly apologize to Mr. Blank, Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris, and the entire Falcons organization. My actions have not protected confidential data, were inexcusable. My son's actions were absolutely inexcusable, and for that we are both deeply sorry." He did not mince words. He did not deflect blame. He did not hide behind the fact that he hadn't known what Jax was doing. He owned it, all of it. "The NFL has taken action, and I fully respect the punishment. We take full responsibility, my son and myself, and we will not be appealing the fine in any way," Ulbrich said. Ulbrich joined the Falcons this offseason after a stint with New York Jets that included an interim head coaching role during the 2024 season. He was earning an estimated $1.6 million with the Falcons, and the $100,000 fine represented a significant portion of that salary. The $250,000 levied against the team was also nothing to dismiss. $250,000 for a problem that started with an unlocked iPad on a kitchen counter. The Falcons accepted the punishment without protest. "We appreciate the NFL's swift and thorough review of last week's data exposure and the event that transpired due to it. We were proactive in addressing the situation internally and cooperated fully with the league throughout the process, and accept the discipline levied to Coach Ulbrich and the organization. We are confident in our security policies and practices and will continue to emphasize adherence to them with our staff, whether on or off premises." Additionally, the Ulbrich family agreed to work with the organization to participate in community service initiatives in relation to the matter. While the Ulbrichs were apologizing and writing checks, the Sanders family was handling the situation with a poise that surprised a lot of people. Both Jeff and Jax Ulbrich spoke to Shedeur and Deion Sanders on the phone. Jeff Ulbrich said it was an opportunity for both parties to apologize, which the Sanders family handled graciously, he said. Ulbrich went further in his press conference, visibly emotional as he described the conversation. The Sanders family, Shedeur and Coach Sanders, were amazingly gracious, more gracious than they needed to be in a moment like this, Ulbrich told the media. For a family that was on the receiving end of a cruel joke during the most emotionally vulnerable period imaginable, their response was measured and dignified. Deion Sanders did not go on a public tirade. He did not demand additional punishments. He did not wage war on social media. On the Sunday after the draft, The elder Sanders posted a cryptic message on X. Everybody's worried about what happened yesterday and fear the possibilities of what will happen tomorrow, when we should be focused on now. What we do with our now is what matters the most. Let's make the most of our now. As for Shedeur himself, he addressed the prank call after the Browns selected him in the 5th round. "It didn't really have an impact on me," Shedeur said in a conference call with Cleveland area reporters. "It was just like, okay, like I don't feed into negativity, or I don't feed into that stuff you've seen." On Deion Jr.'s YouTube video, my reaction to it, I don't. It is what it is. I think, of course, it is childish. Of course, I feel like it was a childish act, but everybody does childish things here and there. That response was telling. No bitterness, no desire for revenge, no prolonged victimhood. He acknowledged it was wrong, labeled it for what it was, and moved on. And moving on would become the central theme for everyone involved in this saga going forward. The Sanders family, aggrieved and probably a little embarrassed, responded with mercy. The Sanders family, larger than life and with egos to match, showed grace. The incident was not isolated either. The 2025 NFL Draft was marred by practical jokesters tricking prospects into thinking their football dreams were being realized, as at least 6 players were prank called during the event. Abdul Carter got a prank call saying the Jacksonville Jaguars would draft him before he was picked by the New York Giants. Former Syracuse QB Kyle McCord, meanwhile, said he received a few prank calls on Saturday. But the Sanders call, because of the family name and the unprecedented draft slide, became the face of the entire problem. So what happened to everyone after the dust settled? For Jeff Ulbrich, the Falcons stood by him. Despite the controversy, he said he felt fully supported by the Atlanta Falcons organization. "In all honesty, I never went there, but I felt nothing but support from the organization in every single way. From the people that worked the line in the cafeteria to owner Arthur Blank himself. All of them." He called the draft weekend a roller coaster of emotions, noting the highs of the team's successful picks and the lows of the personal situation his family faced. He described it as one of the most turbulent weekends of his professional career. Elation from landing generational defensive talent in the 1st round. Devastation from learning his own son had embarrassed the organization. "It's difficult, but like I said, it's something I brought upon myself and my son brought upon himself. So it's one of those things where we got to take this on the chin, and we absolutely are doing that and taking full responsibility." For Jax Ulbrich, the consequences extended well beyond fines and apologies. Sanders likely also knows that Jax Ulbrich will face a life-lasting punishment of sorts. This highly public controversy will remain with him in the years to come, as he applies for jobs and repeatedly must explain what happened and why he's sorry. A Google search of his name will return this incident for the foreseeable future. He's a sophomore running back at a small college in Georgia, and he now carries the weight of a nationally publicized scandal with him everywhere he goes. And for Shedeur Sanders, he went to work. While wearing number 12 his rookie season, Sanders started the year in a depth role, as veteran Joe Flacco was Kevin Stefanski's starting quarterback. But when Flacco was traded to the Cincinnati Bengals following Joe Burrow's injury, Dillon Gabriel, who was drafted 2 rounds before Sanders, took over the role. Sanders would be Gabriel's backup, but after the latter's struggles and injury, it was Sanders' time to step up. The Cleveland Browns rode Shedeur Sanders for the balance of the 2025 season. Coach Kevin Stefanski announced that the 5th-round rookie would be the starter for the rest of the campaign. He has constantly and consistently gotten better in each one of these games and how he's approached this game. He's been working very hard, so I feel good about where his development is heading. He finished the year with a 3-4 record in 7 starts, a 56.6% completion percentage, 1,400 passing yards, 7 passing touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and 1 rushing touchdown. Not world-beating numbers, but for a 5th-round pick who everyone wrote off, who got prank called on the most important night of his life, it was proof that the kid could play. After the season ended, the Browns fired head coach Kevin Stefanski. But before leaving, Stefanski had kind words. "I love Shedeur. I loved coaching him. Seriously. He's got the right makeup for this game. He was wired the right way. I wish that we won more, obviously. But if you saw how he played down the stretch, he's a young player that's getting better." Ironically, Stefanski was later hired by the Atlanta Falcons, the same organization that employed the Ulbrich family. Some Falcons fans expressed discomfort with the hire because of Stefanski's past decisions with the Cleveland Browns, specifically how he handled rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Fans didn't like how Stefanski handled Sanders during his rookie season in Cleveland. Sanders, the son of Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, began the year as the Browns' third-string quarterback. Meanwhile, the NFL took broader action to prevent future incidents. The NFL is reportedly restricting draft prospects' contact information to one person per team. After the Sanders prank call incident, the league recognized that if an open iPad in a coach's home could compromise the integrity of draft night, the entire system needed to be overhauled. So was this truly heated footage between Shedeur Sanders and Jeff Ulbrich? The reality is that the heat came not from a face-to-face confrontation between the two men, but from the searing fallout of a prank orchestrated by Ulbrich's son, a prank that cost the Falcons $250,000, cost Jeff Ulbrich $100,000, changed NFL draft protocols forever, and left a permanent stain on the Ulbrich family name. Jeff Ulbrich and Shedeur Sanders never had a personal beef. They never publicly or privately, to anyone's knowledge, got into any notable disagreements or anything of the sort. But the footage of the prank call from both sides of the phone went viral and created an undeniable connection between the two names, a connection that neither asked for, but both had to live with. In the end, the Sanders family showed grace, the Ulbrichs showed remorse, the NFL showed enforcement, and the internet showed, as it always does, that nothing stays private for long.